I'm Sarah.
And I'm David. Let's talk about Survivor 46, episode 10. It's called Run the Red Light, but I can think of 3 or 4 other things that should have been titled before that.
They could have been. I don't even know when the red light happened. But first, if you're new to this channel, please click subscribe and give this video a thumbs up.
And you can support us on Patreon at patreon.com/nerdtainment. Okay,
welcome.
Welcome, everyone.
Hello.
Hello. We're going early today. Thank you for joining us. Here are some titles that I might have suggested for this episode.
Please. Yeah.
I'm pissed. Wednesday night ritual. What the heck, you hoe bags? Just
you hoe bags.
Plenty of Liz-isms that we could have used for this
all
episode
from
title.
Liz. Absolutely. I mean, I would have taken Applebee's is back. Hello.
Totally. Yeah.
That was so exciting. Liz took a turn. Can't wait to talk about it with Liz's biggest fan, David.
Yes.
But honestly, we do start out at the top of this episode with Liz being upset that she was left out of that vote.
She's already pissed. She's already like, why did you not let me in on this split vote? Because if you remember, she was the only person who voted Q on the revote. So she was completely left out of that. And that's what spurs her to say, what the heck, you hoe bags? And she's just kind of, stewing.
Bring it back, David. Bring it back.
We're bringing back hoe bags.
Can we get hoe bags back?
I'm sure it is my algorithm feeding me what I want, but Liz is all over my Twitter timeline.
How do they know?
Timeline, whatever it is.
Yes.
It's just, the internet is going crazy for her, and rightfully so after this episode.
I don't know. I think I did share with you one thing that Liz liked of mine, but Liz, she's not following me, but she's liking my posts, and I appreciate it, Liz.
She's quite funny on X. I'm enjoying her a lot. But Maria's like, I'm not dealing with that right now. I'm going to go talk to Q. And, he's off by himself. He's kind of an island. Nobody's talking to him. Maria, very smartly, she's like proven herself to be quite a strategic mastermind so far this season. And so she's like, I'm going to go get this guy and get him on my side and use him as a number. Yeah. And what I liked from Q during this conversation is he's finally saying, how can I help? What can I do? Right? Like, what do you need me for? And he's like in listening mode, which I like.
Yes. Right. It is kind of nice to see him in listening mode. You're right. Maria's doing what she should be doing. Everybody else is back at the beach, the camp, speculating if Hunter even had an idol. Why wouldn't he play it? Maybe he was bluffing. And then we kind of get like just a quick soundbite that Kenzie's like, I don't know, like Tiffany doesn't have to go yet.
Yeah, but she's still sort of thinking like, I do want to get Tiffany before she gets me, and I know eventually she's going to come for me. But
like final 5, Kenzie.
I know.
Woo, people.
Yeah. So then we go to the reward.
Yes. Oh, we get a reward finally.
Well, we have to. I mean, this is truly. I don't know how long Liz is for this game, and so I'm going to enjoy every second I get with her, to be clear, if you didn't already know that. But like the past few episodes, they've been building her up in the edit. She was like kind of nowhere to be found for the first, 5 or 6 episodes. And when this reward happened, I was like, this really is what we're building toward, right? Like, this is why they had to like increase her presence in the edit, because they said, we are going to make a meal, pardon the pun, out of this moment. And so we need to like lay the foundation for who Liz is and what a quirky character she is in order for this to make sense, because we're using every second of footage we have of Liz in this.
Applebee's, okay? Applebee's had no idea what they were paying for in this episode, but I guarantee you everyone's thinking about Wednesday night dinners and a bourbon burger. I don't eat meat. I don't know what a bourbon burger is, but I do now.
The mushroom Swiss something or other. I'm like, I got to go to Applebee's. It's been a while.
Yeah. I'm like, where's my nearest Applebee's? This is, honestly, we get a reward challenge. He's like, Applebee's. And I'm like, old school. Here we go.
Yeah, right.
And you mentioned, because they put in the preview, this like guttural scream.
Yeah.
And you were like, I think it's Liz. Oh, we're going to get it.
I mean, she's like,
whoa.
losing it though, right? Because she's like, this is my Wednesday night ritual with my daughter. We go to Applebee's, we go home, we watch Survivor. She's like drooling over every menu option that Jeff reveals is going to be on the table when they go to Sanctuary, where good things happen. Like, we
got the Sanctuary back.
Yeah, like Liz is finally able to eat. She's talking about
she can eat let's lay the groundwork here, because I did see quite a few posts where they were like, all of this over Applebee's, and I was like, that's cute and all, but let's be realistic. Liz hasn't eaten. I don't know if you guys haven't eaten, but I go like 5 hours with not eating, and I'm already at Liz level. And then she like lays out this personal story about her child. And I don't have children, but I have to imagine 18 days. It's more than 18 days. It's 18 days of game plus sequester, where you haven't seen your child. And this is bringing up emotional memories. You're already mad because you were left out of a vote and you didn't get to take credit of a vote you tried to do a couple things ago. Like, it's layers for Liz.
I'm telling you. This would be like if Sarah and I saw a reward that was wine and chips and guacamole after we hadn't eaten for 20 days.
I am needing it. That's what I would do. Yeah, absolutely. Jeff, did you say wine? Let's go. Did you say margaritas? Let's go. I'm ready.
Yeah.
Yeah, no. So I just want everyone to understand, obviously it wasn't just like a burger here.
Right. And Jeff is pointing out, like, this is the stage of the game where they walk in and Jeff is like, oh, you've all lost 40 pounds. Like, the clothes are falling off. You're all very thin. Charlie's talking about how he can't stand up without getting lightheaded. Like, Liz is not the only one who's starving, but she really has been starving the longest. And she's going to give us a monologue about how much everyone else has eaten compared to her by the end of this. But I also love when they start the challenge and Jeff is like, Survivor's ready. And they cut to Liz and she's like deep sigh, preparing herself for this reward challenge. And I'm ready to see Liz pull this out and win this challenge.
I thought she was going to win. I thought the edit was taking us to her winning. Like, she was so ready. I was like, Liz isn't going to win anything ever in this game except this one. She was like, here I go. I am ready. We're going out in this thing. We're pushing sandbags through. We're tossing up to a target. She's falling way behind, by the way.
She is.
But Q is going to start tossing first, and then we see Tiffany. It really felt like it was Q or Tiffany at this point.
Yeah, it was like Q and Tiffany were in the lead, and then a big group of people got through the final net, crawling under the net portion of the challenge. Liz and Kenzie are the last two. It's like, oh, poor Liz. Oh, Lord. She's getting through this. She's trying to make her way through this net, and she's just so weak. She has not eaten. Then they build it up again, where she steps onto that platform with her single sandbag, takes
oh my God,
a breath, positions herself.
Right.
Tosses that bag, and the first toss, so they show us, the first toss lands on the platform and just tips off. And,
did you think she was going to win in one toss?
I did.
I did too. I was like, oh my God, she's about to win it in one toss. No, sorry. That's not. The edit fooled us.
Yeah.
Q is going to win it. I mean, Tiff is pretty close as well a couple times, but Q's going to take it. Now we're going to get to the real drama here because he has to choose, obviously, who's going to go with them on this to the sanctuary where good things happen.
Where good things happen overnight, right?
Yep.
Overnight stay there. Applebee's feast. I want to know what is going through Liz's mind in this moment. Is she so focused on I have made my case and there's really no way that anybody with a conscience could not choose me for this? Or is she thinking, well, damn, I voted for Q in the last tribal council. I don't know where her head went first, you know?
I don't know that her head was going anywhere at this point. I think emotions just from the pit of her belly surged up in this point. I mean, that guttural scream when she turned over about being so mad. you know, you feel for her and then you're like, whoa. But then Q's like, you literally voted for me last night. She had no response to that because what do you say?
What do you say?
There's nothing else to say. Game wise, it makes no sense for Q to pick you.
Yeah.
And he's in such recovery mode.
Yep.
Like he can't afford to just be like, oh yeah, I know you're hungry.
Right.
He can't.
He's like, I'm trying to make my way back into this game and I need to bring people who didn't vote for me at the last tribal council because those are maybe people I can work with. And have some
agency in this game that maybe, I mean, I think his picks, he picks Tiffany, Maria, and Kenzie. I think those are spot on picks for him. That is probably his only hope to make anything happen in this game. He does the right play here, but I also completely relate with Liz. I think we're so used to people putting on their game face and shoving their emotions down, and she just couldn't in this moment.
I mean, he also messed with her. Let's be clear. When he picked Tiffany, he was like, he set it up like, you know, I want the opportunity to make things right. And it kind of seemed like maybe he's going to pick the person who voted for him and like try to patch something up. But no, he chooses Tiffany. Then he chooses Maria. Liz is openly sobbing at this point, like begging to be chosen.
She's like, I'll beg. I will beg. Yeah.
I will beg. And then he says, you know, I really feel for Liz. She has not eaten in 18 days. And I know how starving she is and how much she wants this Applebee's. And it's the Wednesday night ritual with her daughter. And boy, this would be the nicest thing ever that I could do for her, taking her to Sanctuary, a night of sleep, a full belly. Kenzie, I'm going to choose you. And I'm like, Q, oh, wow. You had to do all that.
Yoicks. And I did read, she didn't say this, Tiffany didn't tell me this in our interview, but I did read that she revealed that, who was it, her and Kenzie?
Two
or was
of them.
It Maria and two of the three offered to give it up to Liz, and Q said, I know.
Q said no. I didn't know it was Q's decision to make, but
well, he gets to choose.
I guess so. I mean, I felt so bad for Liz, and Jeff, being the professional that he is like, Liz, you want to talk about it?
Yeah. And she does. She has a few things to say. She does. She lets a few grievances out. And like, there's like a moment, I think, when Venus is like, I want to comfort you. Oh, I don't know that you. Yeah. This is past comfort. Yeah.
She's talking about, I've had 0 calories since merge. She's just screaming. She's crying. It is so raw. And, you know, she apologizes for it later. And nobody really seems to like hold her in any sort of like ill regard for this outburst. They're like, girl, we all wanted to say that stuff at some point. Like, I don't blame you, you know, because it just was like so real in the moment.
Yeah. When they do get back, like you said, Liz is going to apologize. And of course, this group that I'm going to call the losers are like, we get it. You're starving. We understand. Q's a jerk. None of us like him. You know, they're all just like, this all sucks.
Ben is suddenly on fire. And he's like, Q's a straight up villain. He's got to go. And I'm like, okay.
Ben is a turning point for Ben. Q. I love it. We hear very little from Ben, but when we do, I'm pretty entertained.
Yeah, he's fun.
Then cut to Sanctuary.
The Applebee's folks are there, and they're all black, serving them platter after platter after platter. They're not even bringing out the burgers for like 30 minutes.
No, we've got apps, we've got frozen drinks, we've got a milkshake, we've got so much. And they really milk it so that by the time we get that burger, people are like, you know what?
I'm a little full.
We don't really have the room for it.
Yeah. I was thinking as soon as they brought out the burger and the burgers are held together with those toothpicks and they're all like, oh, I couldn't eat another bite. I'm like, is there some kind of advantage that they're going to reveal is like hidden in the toothpick of these burgers that nobody took out? Like, that's where my mind went. They never really revealed anything about an advantage. So I don't know.
No, because I think it was all just like, because the edit's like zooming in on that burger cut to Liz being like.
Cut to Liz.
So I think the point was these bitches didn't even eat the burger.
Oh, yeah.
I think that was the point of the edit.
And poor Liz. Do get poor Liz. She is just dreaming of Applebee's while There's too much to possibly eat for these 4 people. And the strategy that we get at Sanctuary is, basically Q's like, I'm not bothered by Liz, like, whatever, I'm ignoring that. What I really want to focus on is rebuilding Yanu 3 and bringing Siga into that. And like, let's, make some moves here. And then Q basically leaves to go to the bathroom, it seems like. And the 3 ladies are like, I'm not doing that. Like, I'm not just going to forget how chaotic you are, Q. I'm not on your team.
Oh, they were like, what was it? Kinsey was like, I need a bit more than this wined and dined.
Yeah.
Sorry, buddy. I do not forget all that you did. I mean, I love hearing all of that. Maria, I think, is the most open to working with Q. And she's just kind of listening and observing and being like, well, he's not really winning them over. So, he may not be someone I get to keep. She seems open about it. Somewhere in here, we do get a package with Liz about her childhood. I did appreciate seeing this package.
Yeah.
Because we've only got that she's like quirky, she's rich. We're like, why are you even here? Why are you starving yourself? If you like, what's your purpose here? And to hear that, like, she grew up with food insecurities and like being able to provide for her daughter is so important. That gave her a little bit more depth, I think.
Yep. I'm loving every second of it. The next morning, we start at camp and they're all sort of up early. They didn't sleep that well because they're at camp. And here come the folks coming back from Sanctuary where good things happen. And then watching Liz's face as everybody is recounting all of the Applebees they ate.
Why?
And she's like, when are they going to get to the burger? When are they going to get to the burger? And Tiffany's like, honestly, couldn't even touch the burger. Didn't even take a bite.
I feel like Tiffany, or at least the edit showed Tiffany just being like, blah, 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 blah. Like, everyone else seemed to be like little details, but Tiffany was like, let me spill everything I didn't eat. And Liz was like,
but she's slept on it. She's a little calmer. She's feeling okay. She apologizes to Q, but she doesn't really mean it.
No.
And we're moving on from the Applebee's debacle.
She's moving on, but she's still going off the beach. Where's the light? Oh, that's just Liz. Okay.
They just kind of look and they're like, oh, it's Liz. And they go
Liz.
back
She's
to what they're
groaning.
doing. Yeah.
I related so hard to Liz in that moment. I can't
she
tell
really
you
is like
how many times I go.
Character.
And it's for far less than what Liz is doing. Girl,
I love it. So before we go to immunity, we get a little bit of strategy between Charlie and Maria. Right. And they're discussing their targets and they're saying like, Q's the obvious vote. Tiffany is the move we really want to make because she's got the idol and we want to get that out of the game. And Charlie says, Tiffany and Q need to lose this challenge. And so I'm thinking, well, one of them is going to win, obviously.
One of them is going to win, obviously. Yeah, I mean, Maria and Charlie are like the only two that are doing what they're supposed to be doing, right?
Yeah.
They came back together, shared the information, discussed what they wanted. And I was like, oh, brother. These two are doing it, right?
Oh,
everyone else is like,
I know.
Take my number one. And
truly.
They seem to get it.
They do. So we go to immunity. It's the one where it's the bucket with 25% of your pregame body weight. And it's all about grip strength.
Yeah.
As it's this thing that can just sort of rotate through your hands if your grip starts to loosen at all.
We're going to try rice negotiations one more time. Jeff is like,
one more time.
Y'all said no, but I'm gonna just try this again.
He's like, Liz, I do not bring you Applebee's, but I do bring you rice. And I know you can eat that.
I feel like the producers were like, Liz is having a really hard time. Can we please figure out a way for her to have rice?
Yeah.
That's what this felt like. Because once again, he's like, 4 people have to sit out still. They're like, no. obviously not. We've less people now. We're still not sitting 4 people out, which good for them. Again, I love that. But he's like, or this self-serve.
Yeah.
I have one size.
Whoever wants to sit out can have their own little thing of rice. Kenzie very graciously is the first to step out. I think she really does it on behalf of Liz. And 100%. She's like, let me just get this party going. And like, Liz, get out here, join me. And so Liz does. And then it's like, do we have 2 more? They do not. I mean, Jeff acknowledges like, if we don't make a deal today, it seems like we're never making a deal this season. And everyone's like, yep, you're right. Yeah. Like, that's how we're playing the game.
They're like, you got it, Jeff.
Kenzie's like, well, I'm actually going to step back in, but Liz, please, I will be mad at you if you play this game. Take the rice. And everyone is like rallying behind her, like, sit out, take the rice. Like, we're not going to vote you out.
Yeah, 100%. When they're like, look, we have this one person serving size of rice. Everyone's like, oh, we get it. That's for Liz. Yeah. And Liz is standing out there being like, I'd be happy to take it and not compete for immunity. And they're like, great, you go for it. So luckily, Liz is going to step out for her little mason jar of rice. So
happy. Yes.
Everyone else is going to hold on to this bar that's holding the bucket.
Yep. Venus has no grip strength and is out very quickly.
She's so tiny.
Yeah. And then Ben is next out. Mm-hmm. And then it was, decent. Was Q next?
Yeah.
Yes, that's right. So I actually liked Maria's technique where she had like an over grip and an under grip. And she was like propping this arm against her body. Like she seemed like she had a different approach than everybody else who just was sort of holding on, pretty straightforward. And it's this dramatic moment with Q where it starts to slip and the people on the bench are like manifesting that his thing is going to drop. And then he's cranking it and he's like getting the bucket back up higher. And then it's the slow-mo drop of his bucket that is very dramatic.
It's so funny that they did a slow-mo dramatic edit there because like he's not even close to being the last person, right? Like you expect to see that if he's about to lose. Yeah. But we're just so like, is Q going to save himself? And they're like, no, he's not. Nope. So he's going to drop. Then we see Kenzie, then Maria. So it's down to Tiffany and Charlie. And Tiffany looks solid.
Tiffany has not moved, which Jeff acknowledges. It's like 21 minutes in, and she has been in the same position, and her bucket, I don't think, even moved an inch. Charlie is a little more like up and down, moving around, like moving his body, squatting, standing up, and he's kind of just trying to make himself comfortable, but in doing so looks very uncomfortable compared to Tiffany. And then out of nowhere, Tiffany just drops.
Yeah. Yep. She was trying so hard to just be solid. Something slipped. She dropped. She's obviously very upset.
Yeah.
It's hard for her to sort of get up and accept it. But here we are, Charlie winning his second immunity challenge in a row. I almost was like, Charlie, it's not worth it. Let it go. Let Tiffany take it.
That's what I thought, Sarah. I'm like, you don't need to win this. Like,
don't, Charlie, don't put a target on your back.
Yes.
Don't be the next Hunter, Like as soon as Hunter's out, you're the guy who takes all the wins.
Don't put this all on yourself of like, I have to win so that Tiffany doesn't have immunity and we can vote her out. Give it up and, be like, sorry, I did my best, and just take a little bit of target off of yourself because he's playing such a good under the radar game, I think. Especially with like Maria as his sort of strategic shield, even though they're sort of like equal partners. She's the one who I think is probably getting the credit for these big strategic moves right now. But I think that's good for him. But then winning these immunities, I'm like, why are you like bringing the spotlight onto yourself? You didn't need to win this.
No, he didn't. But I think it was because he and Maria do want Tiffany out, right? Like that was part of their discussion. So maybe if it had been him versus Maria, he'd be willing to drop for her somebody else. Because I was like, do you really need this, Charlie? Like, come on. But I think he really didn't want Tiffany to win. So he's going to get his immunity. And now we head back to the camp.
We do. On our way back to camp, we get another great tip from Charlie in confessional. Remember earlier in the season where he's like, everybody, if you ever play for Survivor, wake up for the morning conversations. And now he's basically like, work on your grip strength for 2 years because it's the most important thing I did to prepare for Survivor.
Charlie, I was like, what? I mean, we've heard about learning to fish. We've learned or doing puzzles in your backyard, but I have never thought about my grip strength. And this boy was like, I got it.
Yeah.
Trained for this.
That's what he did. So that's
impressive.
How he won this immunity.
Mr. Charlie, impressive.
When we get back to camp, Tiffany is on the Q train. She thinks he's gone. This is an easy vote.
Easy.
Finally, the man who's been sowing so much chaos and who betrayed me and, you know, made our alliance fall apart. Like, this is the time that we are going to get him out. This is the easy vote, everybody. Don't overthink it. Let's just get Q.
Yeah. And we see Maria and Kenzie touching base where Kenzie's like, you know what? It's probably not the time to take Tiffany out.
Yeah.
I might have started that too soon, you know. Yep. And Maria's like, that's interesting because I still want it.
I still want her out. And Kenzie's sort of like, I just hate that Q like doesn't care, right? Like it's annoying me that he's taken this sort of like blasé attitude to the competition. And it seems like he's kind of given up and like, I'm over that and yada, yada. So she's definitely hot on Q.
She wants him out for sure. Maria's going to have a talk with Q, as she will, because she's using him as a number. And she's just feeling it out. Like, what if the vote were Tiffany?
She's like, you have an option to vote Tiffany out. Would you do that?
And he's like, you know what? I don't hate that idea.
I actually might. And then we see Ben saying, I do want Q out, but Tiffany's idol is more of a, you know, dangerous thing in the game. And so we're sort of seeing the tide shift away, which I'm not surprised is happening because, like, I don't think Q is a huge threat at this point anymore.
No.
He is over here. They have him where they want him, where they can see him. He's not manipulating anybody. He's not masterminding any secret plans. Like, leave him alone and take out a bigger threat. So I'm glad to see them doing this.
Yeah, I mean, that is where he is right now. He's got no agency, no power. You can use him as a number, which Maria and Charlie are going to do. That will not stay the case. Like, he will.
Oh, no.
If he survives enough, he then can sit at the end and say, y'all wanted me out and you didn't get me out. I outlasted you. And then he's got a case to win. So you have to keep your eye on that when the tides do turn. But Maria and Charlie are being very smart right now to not only stay loyal to themselves, use him as a number. They obviously can rope Ben in. And now at this point, it's like, who's going to be our fifth?
Who's going to be the fifth? And we need Liz. Liz is the linchpin for this entire plan. And the tricky part in that is that Liz is going to have to be talked out of voting Q out again, right? Like, they just left her out of the plan last week and voted Hunter out while she was like stuck on the Q plan. And now they're going to have to pull her in. I mean, they're saying like, we obviously can't get Tiff for this. We can't really go to Kenzie for this. Nobody wants to talk to Venus. Let's try to get Liz, but we have to tell her, we need you to vote for Tiffany and not Q. I know you hate Q, and I know he didn't pick you for Applebee's, but please don't vote him this time. We'll get him at another time.
It's so funny to hear them debate Venus versus Liz, because it's like, who's the worst of the worst? Like, who do you think will cause less drama? Who won't fight us on this or spill the beans?
Right.
And it's so funny that they end up with Liz. But yeah, she sort of takes it like a champ. She listens to Maria. Yeah. She hears it out and she's able to sort of compartmentalize the like personal part of it and the game part of it. It seems like.
And it seems like it's very much up to her. That's how they frame it going into the tribal council, is like, what is Liz going to decide to do here? Okay,
let me just say, because at this point when Liz was like, look, this is giving Maria this big move to blindside Tiffany. I'm not getting my Q move. Like, this doesn't super benefit Liz, although I mean, I'm sure it benefits everyone to take out an idol.
Yeah.
But I was like, okay, Liz, then secretly tell Tiffany to play her idol. Go with Maria's plan, but give Tiffany the information. Tiffany plays her idol. She's still in the game. She now owes you something, Liz. She feels partial to you, and you get Q out because he's going to be the second next voted person, right?
Yeah. And then in going into the next vote, Q's now out. You have Tiffany, Kenzie, and Venus with you. That's 4. And Maria, Charlie, and Ben are now in the minority. Like, you've shifted the power makeup of the game.
I was like, oh, I feel like that's the play, but Liz is never going to think about that because she's starving.
Yeah. She's like, I just had 1 grain of rice and you're pitching me this plan. So I only have so much brain power to devote to the game.
Yeah. I don't, and Tiffany could have blown it up. Like, it may not have worked, but I feel like if you had just slipped her that information last minute, play your idol, we might have been able to turn some tables for you, Liz, but that's not what's going to happen.
Yeah. So we go to tribal and everybody is on the same page of making it seem like it's Q's time to go.
Oh, they are acting up a storm. Q, I mean, Jeff's like, is Q a smokescreen? And they're like, haha, you would think, but we hate him.
Yeah. And some of them mean it.
Yep.
Kenzie means it. Venus means it,
Yep. Tiffany means it. She's like, we're done, sir. We're done with him. And he seems, I mean, it's just the edit. We don't know. But he seems to take it better than he would have a few tribals ago, which would have probably made me not sure how this is actually going, right? If Q's not fighting back.
Yeah. But
I don't know how I feel.
I mean, obviously what he's doing is making everyone who is voting for him think that is still the plan and that he's just accepted it. But you're right. That maybe should have been like a little bit of a red flag. Like, why isn't he trying to blow something up?
Right. Why isn't he being like, well, but you guys.
And then Ben, actually, I thought kind of threw a wrench in it slightly when he was like, it's almost eerie how unanimous it is. And Jeff's like, it is almost eerie. Does anybody else want to comment on that? Does this feel too easy?
A little too eerie? No, everyone's like, yep, it's Q. So we are going to see Venus vote for Q.
Yeah.
And we know she's been left out of the vote.
Yeah.
And then we see Q vote for Tiffany.
Yeah.
Which is on track. But then we're going to get our votes, and they are close.
Yeah, no idols played on this, and it is Q.
No idols played.
Q and then Tiffany. And she's like, well, that was Q, obviously.
Yeah.
And then Q. And she's like, yeah, exactly. Like, Q's the only person who voted for me.
He's going. Yep.
And then there's a second vote for Tiff. Wait, what?
Yeah, even Kenzie is like, where is that coming from?
Wait a minute. And then the third vote for Tiff. At some point here, Tiffany's face falls and she knows what's happening.
Yes. Oh my gosh. It's like, how many people are going to go out this season?
I know.
Just sitting comfortably with their idol.
Yeah.
It's really wild how they're so easily getting these people. She literally was saying last episode, which was just 2 days in their real time, I just have to play this idol. I just have to play this idol. Get it off of me. It's it's making me a target. So I asked her, what changed? How would you go from I have to play this idol to not playing it 2 tribals in a row? I feel like that's really pushing it. And she said that she had multiple strategic conversations, including one with Charlie, who said we could use your idol to get Maria out.
Interesting.
Which I'm like, if Charlie's laying stuff like that down, that's dang good gameplay. That made her really comfortable. She thinks she's strategizing with Charlie to get out Maria with this idol. That's how safe she was feeling.
Well, I also think Charlie is thinking about getting Maria out. Whether or not that was real with Tiffany, I think Maria might be next because Maria has positioned herself as the biggest strategic threat in the game, and she's getting that edit. And the preview for next week, and granted, you know how we are with the previews. We never believe that they're going to lead us any direction. But there's just an offhanded remark from Charlie in the preview for next week of, we all know what needs to be done. But it's not in relation to Maria directly. And I think he's saying, we got to take out the mafia boss.
He's saying, let's take out Q.
I think he's better strategically than that. They're going to have to take a shot at each other eventually. They're the last duo in the game.
No, not yet. What is wrong with you people? You have been suckered into a Leo ascendant chart. It is not time to take out your number one. Maria and Charlie are the only two being loyal to each other. If they can get a little bit, like, don't go to final three together, that's fine. But you've got to get out a few people before you turn on each other. I think it will be rewarded if they can be the only two to do it.
Who do you think are the major threats left to get out?
I mean, I think Charlie and Maria are the winners of this season, but that's extra information that we have. I don't think they know that, right? I think Kenzie is still a strong player. I think Charlie and Maria are strong players. And I mean, I think Ben could be if he got a little more in. I think Q could be back up if he got a little bit of power. I think those two are on the edge.
I think I see the Kenzie thing for sure. And I could see Ben because I think there's probably a fair amount of Ben's game that we're not seeing because of the edit. Yeah. But I have to imagine, based on what we've seen of Liz, Venus, and Q, I don't think they're looking at them as threats. I think they're looking at them as like good people to sit next to in the finals. So I'll give you Kenzie and maybe Ben.
Right. I completely forgot Venus was in the game. I didn't even list her. Sorry, Venus. That's too many people though in that position. Like, you can't have that many options because that means everybody has an option, right? One person takes Q, one person takes Liz, person takes Venus. That's too many people taking your spot in the finals. So they need to eliminate some of these non-threats, honestly, because they will be threats to take your spot at the end.
Well, and see, the reason I also think that Charlie maybe is referring to Maria with that comment is that now you do have Q, Liz, Venus, maybe even Ben in that group who are looking at Maria, Charlie, and Kenzie and saying, we got to team up and get them out.
Well, Kenzie's out. Kenzie just got blindsided by this vote, and so did Venus. So I think Kenzie and Venus are going to be slightly peeved. And I don't know if Maria and Charlie are going to try to bring them back in, or if they have to build something over here. I don't know that they can get Q because Q could care less about them. He's already shown like he doesn't value them. So
it may just be a situation where Charlie's like, it's going to be Maria or me, and I'd rather it be her who goes. So I'm going to jump on board with these. Who knows? I'm just like, I'm reading too into the tea leaves and like, you know, little tiny clues that they're leaving us in the preview. But I just think those two are far and away the best players so far. But
and I don't even think we're seeing, like, we're getting hints that there's more that we're not even seeing in the edit. I think that Charlie and Maria are super strong. So I hope they don't mess that up because, I have high hopes that they make it to the end together or close to the end together. But we only have a few more episodes left here, guys. Like, we are getting down to it.
We are. And it's exciting because other than Maria and Charlie, the dynamic has been shifting. Like, different people are working with different people in each of these votes. So that sort of makes things a little unpredictable. And like, it's more like that season where it was like voting blocks instead of alliances, you know, and it's like, well, for this vote, we're going to pull these three people in to get us. Like this one, they decided they needed Liz and they got her to come over into their group, even though maybe they aren't always sharing all of their strategic information together. It was just like, this is what works for this group for this vote. And so the cluster of majority might shift for the next few votes, which is kind of fun to watch.
Yeah, and honestly, we have more wild cards than strong players. Like, imagine we've got Venus, Liz, and Q. You can't trust them. You don't know what way they're swinging at any given time. I mean, that's going to make this end game really fun, I think.
I mean, if Q and Liz could let bygones be bygones and become a power duo a la Maria and Charlie, I would be.
Oh my God, I wouldn't put it past them. Like, I feel like they're both weird enough to be like, this is genius. Let's do it.
Yeah, right.
That would be amazing, honestly.
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
All right. Well, this episode was dramatic. I feel bad that Tiffany didn't play her idol, but like, look, you got outplayed. If you tell me something like you thought you were strategically going to save it for later, then I feel like you got outplayed. So that's fine. Yeah. That's Survivor. We've got
she was a threat.
Jury.
Like she was so good. Like all four of the people on the jury so far were very good players. Like they're making very strategic decisions. They're not going for the easy vote. They're figuring out ways to get out threats and blindside them. And that's been really great to watch this season.
Absolutely. I agree. All right. Did you guys see my interview with Jeff? If not, please watch. The man touched me.
So good. More than once, by the way. He touched your arm at least twice.
Yep.
You were so just comfortable. Like you talked to Jeff 15,000 times. You're like, oh, it's just my friend Jeff. And he would sort of like say things like, oh, I wasn't saying like a theme. And you're like, I know you didn't say it. I was making it the theme. And then you just moved right into the next question. I was like, Sarah, this is so good. And then he said, y'all need to watch it. Jeff said, that was a great chat. Thank you. And it was genuine. He meant that. It's so
He also said we should get you on the team.
Hello.
When I was editing it, I was like, what'd he say? What'd he say? I don't think I fully heard it when I was like standing there with him, but I was like,
you did such a good job.
Oh, well, thank you, David. I was very, very nervous right up until the time I started talking to him. And then luckily the butterflies left my belly.
Well, and I'm sure he's just such a natural that it just felt like he makes you feel comfortable too as like an interviewer, because he was game to talk about astrology, which maybe he doesn't know a ton about, but he was just like, tell me more. Like he was engaged. He loved what you were saying. Like, I'm sure that helped you feel like, oh, this isn't so bad. I'm just talking to a friend.
Yes, because I mean, let's be real. Like, not everyone wants to talk astrology. I know that. So I like say one thing about being a Scorpio. If he didn't take the bait, I move on. We don't keep talking about it. He took that bait, and I was like, I got more to say. So I did think that was fun. I appreciate everyone being so supportive in the comments. That was really, really fun. With David and I didn't even get to chat about this. So I was like, David, thank you for watching. That's so
yes. Multiple times I watched. It's such a good interview.
And then also spoke with Tiffany today. Obviously, she did reveal a little bit. But bummer that she just didn't play that role.
Yeah.
But she was a good player. So she was going to be a target no matter what.
True. And now there are 2 idols back in the game. Allegedly.
Maybe. Right. So we shall see. Appreciate everyone in the chat hanging out with us, checking in at a different time. I'm traveling, as we can see. So thank you for hanging out with us.
Yes, and if you're joining us later, leave us a comment and tell us how you feel about Tiffany going home, how you felt about this Liz-centric episode, how you feel about Applebee's as a person yourself, and how is the power gonna shift moving forward?
Yes, right. What's this end game gonna be like? Okay, next week we should be back to a normal day and time. So we will see you guys then. Thank you.
All right. See you then. Bye.
Bye.